our body. The only reason they work is cancer cells are more sensitive than normal cells to those drugs, but because they're very similar to the other cells in the body, it's very, very difficult to actually get the drug to differentiate.
What is the overall goal of what you're doing?
So what we're trying to do is to develop systems that allow us to deliver drugs to specific parts of the body rather than what happens currently, which is a drug is injected into the bloodstream and it goes absolutely everywhere. We want to target where that drug ends up.
Eleanor's drug transportation system starts small. In fact, so small, it's microscopic. She engineers tiny bubbles of gas coated with a clever shell that can survive the sometimes hostile macro highways of the human bloodstream in order to deliver their life-saving payloads.
Because we are engineering the surfaces of these bubbles, the coatings, we can put drugs into the bubble.
And you just inject them?
We just inject them.
Inject them?
Yeah. We link the drugs onto the coatings or actually inside the bubble. The drugs then stay in the bubble as they move through the bloodstream.
Okay, I get the idea. Tiny bubbles carrying chemotherapy drugs travel around the blood vessels. But how do they know where to go?
In addition to putting a drug into the bubble, we put magnetic particles. And that means that we can move the bubbles around using a magnet that's applied outside the body.
Love it. Magnets are such a simple engineering solution to the complex problem of navigation through the body.
So if we imagine that this is the human body, and the tracks within the cube are like your bloodstream, and the little silver ball is our magnetic bubble. If you use the magnet, you can guide where the ball is within the body.
Okay. How much smaller is your bloodstream and the magnetic bubble that you have?
So say that's about 1 centimetre. The small blood vessels where we're trying to guide the bubbles to, which is what you'd have around a tumour, about 10,000 times smaller than that.
Oh my word, then I'm finding this one difficult. Is it just one bubble going to it? Or?
Oh no, we're injecting probably a few million, if not 1 billion bubbles. But compared with the dose of the drug you'd give if you gave it to the whole body, it's still absolutely tiny, because we only need a minute proportion of the drug to get to each cell. So this is another advantage of targeting, is we don't need to use as much drug.
But just to make it more of a challenge, the human body isn't transparent, so guiding the bubbles is quite tricky.
It's more equivalent to me doing that.
Right. And I've got to move the...
And you now have to get your magnetic microbubbles in the right place at the right time.
Right.
We need a method for looking inside the body.
Yeah, you do.
The solution for tracking the bubbles is ultrasound, which works like the echolocation dolphins use to find their prey. Ultrasound is a high-pitched sound wave that can be sent into a human body. Each time it meets a different layer, some of that wave is reflected back.
It's those reflections that we use to produce the ultrasound image.
So how does this help you with your sort of micro bubbles?
The great thing about having bubbles is because they're full of gas, it's a very, very different type of material. So the echo they produce is really, really strong.
And because they have strong echoes, they stand out from the rest of the body.
I suppose it's a bit like you're sat there waiting, and you're waiting for a bubble to go past your area of interest, and you'll be able to see the bubble because of the gas, and then you will be attracting it with your magnet, and you will see that it's arrived, I suppose, at its destination.
Yeah, and the more bubbles that arrive, the brighter the image gets, so you can actually work out what sort of concentration of bubbles you have.
So once the magnets have the bubbles in position, Eleanor needs a way to burst them to deliver the drug.
We increase the energy in the ultrasound beam, the bubbles oscillate more violently, they break open and we release the drug.
A bit like smashing a wine glass with sound.
Yeah.
So what sort of drugs could this deliver?
In principle, almost any. So as drugs are being discovered, more than half can't actually be used because they're simply too toxic to inject directly into the bloodstream or to take as a pill.
Hang on. Half of the drugs that are designed...
More than half.
More than half of the drugs that are designed we can't use because they're basically too poisonous.
Yeah, exactly. So having a technology that allows us to encapsulate those drugs, keep them inside a bubble until they've got to the right place, is incredibly valuable.
So how long do you think it'll be before this package of treatment ends up as something that we could get in a hospital?
It takes probably 3 years to get to the clinical trial stage, and then it's another maybe 5. So overall 10 to 15 years.
So in 10 to 15 years' time, this could be a treatment in your local hospital.
The most incredible moment will be seeing this translated into the clinic and actually working to help cure disease.